Hello, hello, welcome to another episode of History in the Dark. I am your host, Darkness the Curse, and before we begin, as always, thank you so much to my generous Patreons, my British rail critics, as well as my underwater train finders, Thomas Ward and Lord Captain Von Thrust III. You are the reason why this content remains intoxicating. Well, that one was a bit overzealous, I think. I wouldn't call it that, but maybe someone in the comments will agree. But on a more relevant note, today we are going to discuss an incident, a fairly recent one, but not so recent it doesn't count as history, it still occurs in the past, even though it was 2 months ago, haha! Today we are going to discuss that time a Florida man challenged a train. Let's do it. The infamous Florida Man. Florida Man has been a popular meme over the last few years because it just seems like Florida Man makes it a point to do the most psychotic things possible on the daily, and many wonder what the heck is going on down in Florida. But truth be told, the reason why Florida Man comes up so much as opposed to other states is that the rules down there when it comes to information regarding ongoing cases are actually a little looser in Florida compared to a lot of other states. See, most states you have to have some relevant attachment to the case or the person involved, like being a family member or an attorney or something like that. The media can't just walk in and get whatever they want from the police directly. Someone would have to go to them and then they'd get it that way. But in Florida, apparently the media can actually just walk in and get whatever they want to know about any ongoing cases at any time, and this is totally allowed. And in this instance, they didn't even have to do that much, because the Martin County Sheriff's Office, who were the responders for this particular incident, actually tweeted about it, giving the basic overview of the case itself. This is actually also why my research became a little bit more difficult, because it felt like every single news source on this subject pretty much just copied and pasted the tweet from the sheriff's office, as opposed to doing any further digging, because they didn't have to. They already had their clickbait title. They didn't need anything else. But for my purposes, I wanted to know more details, and I found them for you. It took place in Martin County, Florida, as you know, and the railroad involved was actually Brightline, which is a private inner-city rail company that actually uses tracks owned by the Florida East Coast Railway, who we've brought up before. They operate between Miami and West Palm Beach. And apparently the incident took place along the section of line that goes near Indian River Drive. The Florida Man in this case has a name. 38-year-old Bradford Weitzel did not actually challenge the train directly, but his actions are, well, a little psychotic, and I'll be real with you, this story is completely insane. His vehicle of choice that evening, which he stole, more on that in a second, Honda Fit, which is a type of vehicle that I personally remotely despise. I understand they're very popular and very reliable, and they're good cars for what they are, but these small, compact, like, high-ceiling, narrow-body, sort of lunchbox cars, I've never been fond of. I've always seen them, and I've always hated them. I just have never liked their aesthetic, not one little bit. Maybe you disagree, but regardless of my opinion, the Fit is a perfectly fine vehicle overall. Like, it has very good reviews and actually received some awards. They're good cars, though I wouldn't want to take it to deal with a train under any circumstances. This is not the type of vehicle that is going to stand up to a train at all. The opposite of that. And if you're asking my opinion, if you breathe wrong on a Honda Fit, I feel like it would collapse, but that's because I've never found them to be very appealing. The locomotive in question was actually very easy for me to figure out, surprisingly, because Brightline currently only uses one kind of locomotive. It's a Siemens, which I've historically mispronounced as Simons, my bad, SCB-40. They're diesel electrics with a top speed of about 125 miles per hour. Although I doubt Brightline pushes them to that point, they're actually very good. Reliable, efficient, perfectly fine for Brightline's purposes as an inner-city service. So, we have a large, efficient, diesel-electric locomotive versus a Honda Fit, with Florida Man involved. Now you may be figuring you already know what happens here, but I absolutely assure you, you do not. You do not understand the full length of this story. This all took place on February 7th, 2022. Bradford had spent the evening at a bar, and upon leaving the bar, he couldn't find his vehicle. He believed it was stolen, and so, with all the deductive reasoning of a paperclip, Bradford opted to steal someone else's vehicle, the Honda Fit, in a, as he puts it, good faith effort to search for his own vehicle, because that's what a totally normal, reasonable person does. Bradford drove the car around a bit, but he was going pretty erratically, and he wound up on the set of railroad tracks that we've already mentioned. According to a Good Samaritan who witnessed the event and attempted to help Bradford out, Bradford actually didn't cross the tracks over the crossing. Somehow he wound up on the tracks directly. And I don't know if this is news to anybody, but a Honda Fit would not do so great crossing, like, railroad tracks without utilizing an actual road crossing. A lot of vehicles won't be able to deal with that, but a Honda Fit in particular I can't imagine would deal with it at all. Long story short, he got the Honda Fit stuck, because the tracks were too high for it to get off of them. As the Good Samaritan attempted to help him out, they noticed the train was coming, and they did do the smart thing at this point and abandoned the car as the train plowed into it. The Honda Fit was sent hurtling into the air and actually impacted with a nearby house. No one was hurt, thank goodness, and the house only suffered minor damage, with the Honda Fit itself being completely wasted. But Bradford wasn't done that night. Oh no. He was going to find his stolen vehicle. Whether or not he destroyed someone else's property is completely irrelevant here, because for this evening, he is Florida Man. So he ran on foot to a nearby fruit stand, which he vandalized. I don't know why he did that, he just did it, and then he tried to steal a forklift, a real man's vehicle. It was at this point that he decided to, he himself, flag down responding deputies, because, you know, someone called the police after a car hit a train. It's going to happen. To tell them that he was currently still in the process of looking for his car, because he obviously had done nothing wrong. Because this is all normal, and nothing about the story is completely nutso and crazy. I promise you that. Bradford was arrested, and charged with grand theft and criminal mischief. They expect additional charges, but I have not been able to determine if they ever did give him any more charges. Now, none of the news media actually specifically state why he did any of this, because that would make the story less funny. But I'm going to try to give you a logical explanation as to his behavior that night, because based on the fact that he just left a bar, and the fact that apparently he had a DUI charge just the previous month, I'm going to hazard to guess that he was completely and totally wasted. Now, I've never been wasted enough to stick my car on a set of railroad tracks, but I understand the inhibitions that are caused when one consumes way too much alcohol. Don't know how drunk he was, but I'm pretty sure he shouldn't be allowed behind the wheel of a vehicle ever. As for the locomotive, I again could not figure out exactly how much damage it took, but given that we know it hit a Honda Fit and didn't derail, I'm gonna take a wild guess and just say that it probably didn't take enough damage where it's going to be scrapped. It may even be back in service at this point. The car got the worst end of this exchange. Don't drink and drive, people. Call an Uber. Do anything else. Do not drink and drive. And don't be Florida Man. Till next time, this is Darkness. The bid you all a fond farewell.